it's important that you give me a few minutes of your time to hear this important message in such an important time as this. I call it important time because you and I, we are witnessing um, a time that has never been seen in history of man. We'll try to ask people of old age if they've seen something like this happening in the world today, and nobody has ever been able to. Things have happened in nations, and they found a way to deal with it in the past, but there's never been a time where the whole world seems to be, or most part of the world seems to be locked down because of a particular thing. I've come to believe this, and as God laid in my heart that it is impossible for any human, or not even a nation, to hold the world at ransom. It is not possible for even the devil himself to put the world on a lockdown. The only person that has a key to control things and to control the world like this is God himself. He's the only one that can put a stop and oppose things. And there is a need to then understand why this is happening in a time like this. Why is the whole world, or most part of the world, having this experience in a lockdown, and this sickness is taking lives of people. Children from age 0 to 10, there has not been any record of death. Few at age 10 to 20. Now, which means that there seems to be a serious mark between future generation and this present generation, who can actually bring a mark between a generation like that and the older generation are being affected while the younger generation is not being touched or not really being touched. All I'm saying at this point is this: there is a divine, there is something, there is a hand of God in this, and there is something that God is a message that God is trying to pass to us. Now, why would there be such a mark? Why would there be such occurrence in a time like this with this clear demarcation between the present and the future generation? It must be that there is a kind of finger of God against this present generation. We have left our first love. We have so much replaced what is meant to be the body and the church of God with human doctrines and teachings, with heresies, with false prophecies. And we turn the church of God to a place of commercial thing. Gift of God has become something we just use to make money. The Lord is not pleased with this generation. And here is the word. Many of us have been so busy with our lives. We run from morning to night. We don't have time to pause, to think. Now God has made it such that He made us and He has given us a time. And I want to tell you, this lockdown is it's not human made. God Himself has planned it that we all might not have the time to think, the time to reflect. There's no running out to work or whatever you rush out to go anymore. Now you have a time to think, where and how did you get here? It is important to sit back now. I'm talking first, especially children of God, Christians out there. It is time for us to remember our first love. Those of us that are pastors, it is time to remember what are the basic teaching of the word. How we've derived from that to begin to preach and talk about money or other things that are not even established in scriptures. It is time for us to find the first love, find the calling that God actually called you to in the beginning. Where were you, worship ministers, in the beginning? How did you start with God? Where are you now? What are you really doing now? You see, things that happen in the world and we've gone too far from the foundation, and God is not pleased with our generation. He's calling us back, that everybody now, lock yourself up in your chamber. As it says in Isaiah, lock yourself up. A moment of reflection, a moment to think and bring us back to the love of God. Let us take us back to what it was in the beginning. And to nations that are forsaking God, here is the word: there is God. and he is the only one that can save us. See, binding and casting the devil and praying against COVID-19 is not going to work. It is only the act of mercy of God that can turn things around. And what I'm telling you, people of God, is this: until we begin to find our way back and let God see that there is still heart of man that pants after him. You see, many of us that will have said that we are still Christians and we are walking towards righteousness or things. The truth of the matter is our heart is so far from God. It's so filled with wickedness. Let us return. Let us return to our first love. And maybe God will have mercy on this generation, that we will not just perish like Sodom and Gomorrah. That will not just fade off like Egypt, where God put a demarcation between Israel and Egypt. It's a time, a lockdown. I don't know how long, and it doesn't matter how long it's going to be, but it's a time now for you to stay in your house and find your love for God again. And let nations, people, whoever is listening to this, let them begin to know that there is God and the finger of God. Nobody, no science can understand. Secondly, let love begin to manifest in our life. It is the nature of God. Love is actually the nature of man from the beginning, because God created man out of love. Let us begin to, you see, competition, rivalry, war, segregation, division, enmity, all these things that swell from within us. Let us put it aside now. And at a time like this, I urge you, people of God, if God sees love manifest, first, love for him, and second, love to people around you. If these two things manifest, we might just be able to receive God's mercy before this generation begins to fade slowly because of disease. And COVID-19 is here now. That doesn't mean it's the end. Another thing will come up, and another will come up, and one other thing will happen. This is just the first move. More must still come until we begin to realize that there is a need to go back to the love of God. And I'm talking about the second aspect, which is love for people around you. Now, you have a time to stay at home, begin to extend a hand of love to people. Let people begin to see, let even God himself see that there is still love in the heart of man. Husband and wife, you are at home now. You can give excuses that you don't have a time for your wife or your time for your husband before. Now let love begin from within you. Think, how did you get to where you are now, where there is so much friction even in your home? If there is so much friction in your home, how can you even manifest love to God or love to people around you? It is time to sit back, husband and wife. You have stayed home just for about probably a week now. You're getting tired of each other already. Let that love begin. Heal yourselves. Think about the time that you started. What actually made you say I do to each other? Bring that love back. Begin to understand and get to know your children again. Let love begin from home, and let it begin to reach to people around you, people in your neighborhood. Share with other people. Those of you that have, there are still people out there that don't have anything. Reach out with the hands of love. God, look through the scriptures. There's something that Jesus always said. As long as you do this to those who are in need, you do them to me. If you want to show the love of God, begin to with people around you. I beg you, men of God out there, it is not the time to begin to ask people to bring money. It is the time to give from whatever you have. Those of you that have gathered the Lord, it is time to begin to show love in sharing, in encouraging. And I just hope and pray that if we can demonstrate the love for God and reignite it again, as Revelation says, remember your first love, the height from which you are falling. Let us all come back to that moment. And also let us begin to show love with each other. And if God can see love, our generation can be saved again. And this can give hope to future generation if God tarries. Is this an indication that the end is near? The end is being near for a long time. And it gets nearer and nearer by the day. But I don't want to use the word Jesus is coming soon as a thing of threat to anybody. It's a word of hope when you say Jesus is coming soon, because it gives hope that one day we will be out of this world of pain and sorrow. But the message here is this: let us return to God. If we return to God, if He's coming soon, let Him come. We embrace His coming with joy in our heart. And if He still tarries for the next generation that is coming, blessed be Him. But let it be said that our generation are not being wiped off. It's not being wiped off because of wickedness and because we've forsaken love. I pray that the Lord will bless you as you listen. Take your time to reason over this. And I pray that the Spirit of God will minister more into your heart. It is not a time to begin to bind and cast coronavirus. It is time to go back. The time that God has given you now. It is not even about church. It's not about gatherings of people. It's about you in your house. And that is why God has made it that you are to stay in your own home and find your God. Find your love for Him. Find your purpose in Him. And let that love of Christ manifest through you to people around you. There's one thing that I know that God cannot turn away from. Is an act of love. When God sees people manifest love, it is the attribute of God Himself. For God is love. He will not turn away. He will release His mercy. And every plague, every disease, and even death will cease in the land. That is a way for this world to be healed. Let us open our heart to find God and let the love of God move. And I know that this love will turn the face of God unto us for favor and will heal our land. I pray the Lord will bless, and I pray that our generation will still experience life through the mercy of God. In Jesus' name, God bless you.